Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So, I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I've made some clips and then I've deleted them because I'm not just sure if it was a subject that I wanted to talk about. But I just got some crazy news and I literally have a pit in my stomach, and I'm just I'm tired. I'm just tired. So, I have 3 kids. Gavin is 7. He just turned 7 in February. Ava is 5. Her birthday's in October. And then Trace just turned 2 yesterday. His birthday's in May. When I found out I was pregnant with Gavin, let's see. So I was 23 when I had Gavin. I found out I was pregnant probably around 22 years old. And I always had my periods usually on time. And then one day I was late, like one day, and I was like, oh God, something's up. So I literally went to the store and got a pregnancy test, peed on a stick, and bam. And that was how I found out I was pregnant. And then of course, I just, went to doctors and all that. The day we found out that I was, well, not the day of, but like the next day, I met up with my boyfriend's mother, and she went and she took me to Walgreens and bought me prenatal vitamins, and I took prenatal vitamins my entire pregnancy. I'm not a person that takes Tylenol and pain medication. Like, oh my God, it was light headache, give me some Tylenol. No. I have to be literally like sick to my stomach or in tears in order for me to take 2 Tylenol. I suffer from back pain. I don't take anything. So anyways, when I was pregnant with Gavin, I never took Tylenol, never drank soda, always took my vitamins every day. It didn't do anything crazy. I remember once I was pregnant with Gavin and I had a pepperoni and cheese slice of pizza, and he didn't like it at all. And it was closer to the end of my pregnancy, and I was so nauseous, and I got the worst headache that I was like shaking. So I called my OBGYN and I told her, and she's like, if you don't take a Tylenol, you're gonna be in more trouble than you are now. So I was like crying, and I took a Tylenol. So other than that, all my pregnancies have been natural. No C-sections, and no pain medication. And I probably only took 1 Tylenol for each pregnancy, because with hormones you're gonna get headaches, you're gonna be in pain, whatever. So I probably only took 1 Tylenol maybe for each pregnancy, if I took a Tylenol. And I know for a fact I took one with Gavin and Trace, probably with Ava too. And then I only threw up 1 time each pregnancy. I threw up when I found out I was having Trace. I threw up 1 time with Ava, and I threw up 1 time with Gavin. That's when I ate that pepperoni and cheese pizza. I worked my entire pregnancy with Gavin. I was 115 when I found out, 115 pounds when I found out I was pregnant with Gavin. After I gave birth, I was 130 pounds. It's like, I was so happy. I actually lost weight with both of my boys' pregnancies. Ava, I gained a lot of weight. And I always had good pregnancies. So I worked my whole pregnancy with Gavin, and he was 2 weeks late. So I worked up until his due date. And then I was like, okay, I'm done working because he's going to be here any minute. So, and then 2 weeks later, I had him. Fine birth, whatever. I was induced. And then he was like the best baby. I remember he would just eat, and he was so chill, and it was amazing, and I was so thankful. And he actually slept through the night, like right away. Like when you have a newborn baby, they have to eat like every 2 to 3 hours. It's just like bam, bam, bam. That's what they do. So after like a couple of months, he started sleeping through the night. I want to say maybe 3 months. I don't remember, because this was back in 2010. But he would sleep through the night, and everyone was like, oh my God, that's crazy, it's unheard of. And I was like, yeah, I'm lucky, And then I went back to work bartending. So we would work nights, you know, and try to sleep during the day, but then I would get him in the morning, and then when I wanted to nap, I would just put him in his bassinet, put Dora on, and he would take a bottle and he would just chill. And we would take turns, you know, napping and stuff like that. Me and my boyfriend, not me and Gavin. And then when he was 6 months old, my boyfriend's mother passed away. So we had to take over the bar full time. And so he was with my grandmother a lot. So I became like depressed, you know, on and off, because it was my first baby, and he was 6 months old, and, you know, I couldn't be with him all the time like I wanted to, or be with him the majority of the time like I wanted to. So that was something that I dealt with. But he was always good. At 5 months old, he started saying mama and dada. And then I remember he was saying mama and dada, and he even said nana, which is his great-grandmother. So everything was fine. And then at 1 year old, he stopped talking. He stopped talking completely. And I was just like, what the heck? This is so weird, you know. And then when you're a new mom, you Google things, you listen to what everybody tells you, and you're just like, what's wrong with my child, blah, blah, blah. So on his 1 year checkup, I told the doctor he was doing all this, and now he stopped. So she's like, okay, then maybe we should just do like intervention. Maybe we should just do an early intervention. I said, okay, what's it going to do? It's only going to help us, you know. Oh, another thing I wanted to add was I always took him to the doctors routinely, and they always gave him shots routinely. And that was something I didn't educate myself on. I trusted my son's pediatrician, so, I mean, why would she hurt my child, you know? So we started early intervention, and I drove 45 minutes away from the house for that. I'll drive anywhere in the country for my kids' health, so I don't care. And then they did like an interview type of thing, and then we did speech therapy. We did one by our house, and she was like, oh, he might have something wrong with his tongue. Went back to the PCP, and she was like, no. I forgot what it's called, but it's like when your tongue, like there's like that gross thing. If it holds their tongue down or something crazy. She's like, she looked at his tongue and said, no, that's fine. Went back to the early intervention, met with a doctor, and she diagnosed my son with autism. She said he was on the Autism Spectrum, and the spectrum, I wasn't very familiar with it. I didn't know it at all, first of all. It's a spectrum, and it's a wide spectrum, and he was on the low end. So it's just like someone just hit us like, poof. And I was like, oh my God. And one thing I want to add is he also had he was sensitive to hearing, to sounds. I remember taking him to Disney World because we got annual passes, because I love Disney. I've grown up in Disney. I love Disney World. And it was a lot cheaper a couple, years ago. But we would take him to Disney, and he would scream and cry bloody murder. He would hold his hands on his ears, and we would have to like hold him, and just going on the tram. It's just like a little tram, like a cart that takes you from the parking lot to the front of the gates at Disney World. He just would have sensitive hearing or whatever. So these were all symptoms that we told this doctor before she gave us that diagnosis. And so then we went to another speech therapist in Lake Mary, and she was good. He liked her. We worked with her for weeks. And then one time we got like a substitute, a fill-in, and Gavin walked in there and saw her and just screamed bloody murder. He wouldn't do anything, and it's so weird. I feel like babies and kids and dogs like sense people. So I was just like, no, I'm not doing this. We'll leave. And then we went back and saw the other speech therapist, and he wasn't really advancing. So I was like, I'm not going to just keep coming here. I think it was like once or twice a week for nothing. So we went back to the early intervention center, and they recommended another speech therapist, and she came to the house. And I remember she was thin and tan, because I'm Hispanic, so I'm tan sometimes, and dark hair. And she would sit at the table, the kitchen table with Gavin, and I don't know how long we had her. It was months and months, but he liked her. He went to her, and I think it was because she resembled me, maybe, that he felt comfortable with her. And so by the end of the speech therapy of her coming to our house, she was able to get him, say, come on, Gavin, come to the table. He would go willingly and sit at the table with her, and she would pull words out of him, and it was just amazing. She said it was like the most improvement she's seen in a child, and she was so happy, and we were so happy. We were so thankful. I just couldn't, it was like the best. So that everything was going good, but we've always had these things in the back of our heads. And then before preschool, they wanted to put him in a class at an elementary school where he could be around more kids, and because he was the only child and I didn't have a lot of friends. I had one friend with a son. I think they were born in the same month. They're actually born in the same month. But other than that, we didn't have any friends with children his age. So I was like, okay. So I put him in this class, and it was only a couple hours a day. But then he came home and he told me, and he still wasn't speaking. And he told me someone hit him. He said it in his own way. I flipped. I flipped. I will smack your kid if your kid hits my kid if you don't correct it. That's the type of mother I am. Don't put your hands on my kid. Don't teach your kids not to put their hands on my kid. Because I am that mother. I went to the school and I said, this is what he said. No. He must be confused. Pretty sure my kid's going to tell me the truth. He was 3, maybe? 3, 4. So I was sick to my stomach. I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing that. So we left that. He went to preschool and he was good. And then he went to kindergarten. And he had a little trouble in kindergarten, but he made it. I was very thankful for his teacher because she worked with him and worked with him and worked with him. He was in an IEP program, so they did speech therapy in school. He was never, because I was told that this is my diagnosis and I could choose to do what I want with it. I never want him to be treated special. I never want any special attention. I don't want him to be excused for anything because of whatever. I just want him to have normal education just like every other child, and I want him to try his hardest before I take it on that level where, okay, we need to do extra things for him type of thing. So routinely I would have to go to have an IEP meeting, and he was okay. We were always working on it. And then I remember, so I lost contact with my one friend who had a son the same age as Gavin. And then when we came back into contact, however you want to say it, I think, gosh, I want to say 2 years ago when I had the baby, when I traced, she just couldn't believe how much Gavin was talking. And she was like, I remember he wasn't speaking. And it was so hard for me to remember. And I was like, what? Like, at all? She's like, no, he wasn't speaking at all. Like, nobody could understand him. And I've just always understood him. Like, as a mother, you always, well, not always, but I was able to understand him, and I was able to help him with whatever he needed. I just understood him. So when she told me that, I had Dropbox. I don't know if you know that app where it saves your photos and videos. So I've been saving my photos and videos to that for a long time now because I've gone through several million phones. So I went through my Dropbox, and I saw these videos that I took of him when Ava was about a year or so, and he wasn't speaking. And it just blew my mind. I was like, okay. And then it all came back to me like, yeah, it really was that crazy that he wasn't speaking. So now Gavin's in 1st grade, and his teacher is a little bit reserved. And every report card we would get, it's still not A through A, B, C, D, F. It's like plus, minus, circle, checks, stupid stuff like that. But on every report card, it would say promotion in jeopardy, promotion in jeopardy, promotion in jeopardy. And when I first got that, I took that as a threat. And I went to her and I had meetings with her every report card. And finally, I'm like, you know, I don't know what is going on because he's doing great at home. And he got recertified with his autism diagnosis. And the state has found that he is not autistic anymore. He's good. He's good. But a majority of that determination was because he's not a sickly child. And I don't take him to the doctor for every little cut, scrape, bruise, cough, sneeze, anything like that. He's not on medication, and he just doesn't go to these specialists because he's not a sick child. So, okay, if you want to say he's not autistic because of that, whatever. He still gets his speech therapy in school, and if there's any other things that I need to do for him, I will do that. So I don't need anybody to give me any special diagnosis or whatever. So, one day I met with his teacher, and she was like, this is how you can help him. So I came home, and the kids have everything. They have iPads, they have their own TVs, four-wheelers, bikes, scooters, whatever, all the toys in the world. So I said, listen, I'm going to start taking these things away until you start improving your grades, because Gavin wants to be a paleontologist. And if you know Gavin, you know that he knows all the dinosaurs. He can say the dinosaur names that adults can't even pronounce. My grandmother can not pronounce a dinosaur name for the life of her. And it gets on Gavin's nerves. He's like, no, let me show you how to pronounce it. So he wants to be a paleontologist. And he has been saying this for about 2 years now. And it's just crazy. Like, I think he got it from the TV show The Dinosaur Train, how there's a paleontologist at the end of the show. So he's been saying that he wants to be a paleontologist. So I said, if you want to be a paleontologist, you're going to have to go to school forever. Because he thinks after kindergarten, I'm done. After first grade, I got to go to second grade, and then I'm done. I'm like, no. You're going to go to elementary, middle school, high school, and then in college until you become a paleontologist. That's what it is. So after one of the meetings with his teacher, I came home and I downloaded the reading app that they have at school, and I said, we're going to be reading more, and we're going to be reading every day. And my biggest mistake I have realized is between kindergarten and first grade, we didn't do any schoolwork or any practicing over the summer. I just didn't think it was going to be that hard for him to get back into the rhythm. I don't know why. You know, I had 2 other kids. I had a baby in between that, so I've been very busy. That's no excuse. I have learned my lesson, and I'll never do that again. But yeah, so first grade has been hard for him. So I saw a big improvement, and it wasn't until and then I kept telling her, like, I see these improvements at home, so something has to be different in your classroom. So this last report card I got, the same thing, promotion in jeopardy. And then he actually went down a grade in one of his classes. And I'm like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. So I met with her, and I'm like, he cannot fail. Like, let's figure this out, because he cannot fail first grade. Because I'm not going to keep my child back from first grade. I'll homeschool him before anything, but I will not make him repeat first grade. So she's like, well, if you feel this way, he was on a probation period for 6 weeks, and then at the end of that 6 weeks, they have to have a meeting with the superintendent, and then the guidance counselor, and then his teacher, and then they have to see, is he making an improvement, if he's not. If he's not, then they need to do something else, like an intervention type of thing. So she's like, we're gonna have this meeting in like a week or so, and you have every right to be there. And I said, of course I want to be there. And she said, okay. So I have a P.O. box. The school, the guidance counselor specifically, sent the letter of the notice about the meeting to the wrong address. So when I found out that they had the meeting without me, I called her and I said, I never got this letter. And she said, well, I sent it to this address. And I said, yeah, but I have a P.O. box specifically for this reason. And she's like, well, it's not in your file. Come to find out, it was in my file. She's like, I was like, well, what was the meeting about? And she's like, basically, we think that your son might have a learning disability. Poof. And I'm just like, well, then why didn't you call me for the meeting? And I messaged his teacher because they have an app now. And I said, you message me on this app for every little thing. Why not this meeting? And she said she was so sorry. She doesn't know why she didn't do that because she messages me for everything. And she said, do you want a meeting with me? And I said, yeah, I want a meeting with you. So a couple of days later, I had the meeting with her. And she told me what went on in the meeting. And she basically was saying that they weren't sure if he was going to pass on to 2nd grade. Bam, another hit in the stomach. So I said, I don't know what it is because he's been doing so good. So good. She's like, I mean, he's trying really hard, but the state wants him here, and he's right here. And last year, it was here, and he was so close. He'd been so close, but now the state bumped it up. I'm like, well, that's just bullshit. But there's nothing that we could do. It is what it is. And she's actually a really good teacher, and she says she goes to these meetings, and she says she fights for the students, and I actually believe it. But like everything, it's all about money and the state and the schools and the government and yada yada. So, she said, I told her what the guidance counselor said about he might have a learning disability. And she's like, well, if you want to, there's a test that the superintendent or the school can do on Gavin. And it's like it's like an IQ test. And it can see if he really does have a learning disability or not, according to them. And then we can go from there. And I said, okay, because I want to know if he has a learning disability, because then I want to get that help for him. So he's in an after-school tutoring for reading twice a week, and that ends actually tomorrow. But it was only for like a couple months, like maybe 2 months. And so then she said, make your notes, and I will request that test to be done. And I said, okay. So then, like, a couple days later, I got a phone call saying, we're going to redo the meeting. And so I said, okay. So I walk in the meeting, and I think he's the superintendent. He was just like, very, and he's like, why do you want this test to be done? And I said, so I told them the story about how the whole autism thing started and how I'd never want him in a special class, but now that I'm thinking that he might have a learning disability if it's not improving. So his teacher actually came in and said, I tested Gavin the day after we had a meeting, and he has jumped a level. So I was like, okay, and on both sides. So he has to be at a certain level reading wise, and then a comprehension percentage. And she said he's jumped. And so he's like 1 level off from where he needs to be on the reading, and then he's like 10% off of where he needs to be on the percentage wise. So they're like, that's crazy, that's amazing, that's great, blah, blah, blah. And she said, when he came in, he was at a kindergarten level. And he never advanced until like this past semester. And then within weeks, he made a huge improvement. So I was just like in tears, like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like this meeting, I was sick to my stomach. I wanted to throw up. I didn't want to go, but I knew I had to go and get it out of the way. And hearing this was just like crazy. Like I don't pray, but I actually prayed before I got there. And I just said, I just want everything to be fine with my kid. And I want to know if he does have a learning disability, I'm just going to do whatever I need to do to help him. So the guy said, even if you wanted an IQ test done right now, he's not eligible because he has made a huge advancement. And those tests are done for children that are not advancing. And so I said, okay, that's fine. As long as this happens, this keeps up. And then I asked his teacher, so with what you're telling me, do you think he's going to pass or is he still going to fail? And she said, by law, legally, I cannot tell you he's going to pass or not. But what I can tell you is, based on where he's at academically now, there is no reason for the principal to hold him back. Holding him back would not help him at all, having him repeat first grade. We live near Stetson University, and they now offer programs for the summer. And I had to pay like around $450 or $550 for the summer, and it's every Saturday, and he's going to go for like an hour and a half, and he's going to do a reading program. So we'll never take a break off of summer learning again. So they're like, that's a really good program, and so we're really excited about that. So I left there really, really happy, and my whole family was so happy to hear it. And I told Gavin, like, everybody's so proud of you, and you're doing amazing, and keep it up. And so he got rewarded for that, and everything's been going good. So he's not slacking off. We're not slacking off on the reading at all. We still have to keep it up because school is not over. He doesn't get his report card until after he leaves first grade, and that'll be in June. No. Next week is their last week of school, and then they don't get the report cards until June. So everything's been good. And then the past couple of weeks, maybe like a month or so, like a month to 2 months, I've been noticed. I hear him in the morning. My boyfriend gets up, and then he gets ready and he leaves for work, and then I get up, and then I get some stuff around the house ready, and then I wake up Gavin. He goes to the bathroom, and then he eats. We pack his lunch, and then he goes, brushes his teeth and washes his face, and then he gets dressed. Then I get the other two up, then we take him to school. So when he goes to brush his teeth, it's quiet in the house because I don't want to wake up the baby till the very last minute. And then I've just been hearing him making and splashing the water, because I hear his hands hit the water in the sink, and I'm like, shush, the baby's sleeping. Don't wake up the baby's sleeping. So for a long time, he's been like making like twitching things with his eyes. So I wanted to schedule an eye doctor appointment, but I keep forgetting, and I haven't had the chance to. So these were all things that are going through my head. And then lately, and he's been making this stinking noise for the longest time, but he's so obsessed with dinosaurs and Star Wars. So I see him reenacting movies a lot. So I thought that's what he's just been doing, like imagining things and acting them out in his head. I don't know. But it's literally been 24/7 now. We went to his Nana's house a week or two ago, and she told me, she's like, the couple days later she called me on the phone, she's like, we were talking, and she's like, I think you need to take him to an eye doctor because I think he can't see, because I saw him blinking and blinking. And I said, no, it's not him blinking, it's this tic that he does. And I notice when he's doing his homework now, or when he's doing anything now, he's sniffing and rolling his eyes in the back of his head, and he's doing all this weird things, and he's hitting something. He's got to hit something. Plus he does that and makes noise in the bathroom when he brushes his teeth. And I will yell at him, and I'll tell him to stop. Pay attention to your work. Pay attention to what you're doing. Stop. And then his dad finally caught it, because I told him, and he was like, no, he's just twitching or just blinking or whatever. So then he was like, stop, Gavin, stop. And then one time Gavin got really upset about it, and I pulled him aside, and I said, why do you do that? He's like, I don't know, my body just tells me I need to do it. And I said, well, can you stop it? And he said, no, I can't help it. So another time it happened, and I said, why can't you just stop it? Like, control yourself. Just pay attention to what you're doing. And he's like, I can't help it. My body's just telling me I have to do it. So Trace had his 2-year checkup today, and Gavin wasn't there, Ava wasn't there. Trace's checkup went fine, and then I was like, I need to talk to you about Gavin. And she's like, what about him? And I said, well, remember the whole autism thing? And then I told her what's been going on with his school this entire year, and I told her how much he's advanced, and she was like, that's incredible, like, that's amazing. And I said, yeah, but now he's been doing this thing for the past couple months. So I told her about it. She's like, oh no. And I was like, what? And she's like, he's ticking, he's making ticks. And I was like, yeah. So then I was like, but it's not just like one tick and then he stops. It's like the sniffing, the eye twitching, the rolling of the eyes, this the noise and then the hitting. And she said, it sounds like Tourette's. And I was like, what? I was like, but he's twitching. And she's like, yeah, it's a nervous thing. She's like, but I think it's Tourette's. She's like, you need to bring him in as soon as possible. So I was just like, damn. I mean, we just got over one thing and I thought we were good to go. And then now he's developing this other thing. So I said, well, what are we going to do? She said, bring him in and then I'll evaluate him and then I'll send him to a neurologist. Mind you, Gavin has been to a neurologist when this whole autism thing started, and it was when he was like 1 to 2. We had a horrible experience. When I talked to my doctor today and I said, well, what are they going to do? She said they're going to do EEG while he's sleeping and then while he's awake. And I said, well, what if I can't get him to go to sleep? She's like, then they're going to have to, put him to sleep. So I'm not happy about that. She knows we're not happy about that, but I need to figure this out because I don't want him to suffer from anything for school purposes. So I got in the car and went to Starbucks, and then I googled Tourette's, and then I got home, I talked to my boyfriend, and my boyfriend's always like, no, that's not this, whatever. So I started reading things, and it says, the Tourette Association of America says, Tourette syndrome is one type of tic disorder. Tics are involuntary, repetitive movements and vocalizations. They are the defining feature of a group of childhood onset neurodevelopment conditions known collectively as tic disorders and individually as Tourette syndrome, chronic tic disorder, motor or vocal type, and provisional tic disorder. The 3 tic disorders are distinguished by the types of tics present: motor, vocal, or phonic, or both, and by the length of time that the tics have been present. Individuals with Tourette syndrome have had at least 2 motor tics and at least 1 vocal phonic tic, in some combination, over the course of more than a year. By contrast, individuals with chronic tic disorder have either motor tics or vocal tics that have been present for more than a year, and individuals with provisional tic disorder have tics that have been present for less than a year. So Gavin used to also go like making noises, and I thought that was like a nervous thing or like a bad habit. So I mean, it kind of sounds like this. It does kind of sound like what he's experiencing. So I'm just going to pray about it, and I'm going to stay on top of his schoolwork so we can finish out the school year with a bang. But this is definitely going to be something that I am going to document, because I know other moms have experienced some of the same things that I have gone through, and so I wanted to just be an honest opinion for these types of things. Thank you so much for watching, and if you could like and subscribe, that'd be wonderful, so you can see how my course goes with him. He's gonna have to go back to the PCP to get evaluated, and then she's gonna send us to a neurologist, and then they'll probably evaluate him there, and then I'll probably have to go back for the actual EEG, and he won't be evaluated until June, which will be when school's already over. So we shall see how everything goes. I have faith in everything, but stay tuned. Thanks for watching.